Hello again. Now if you watched some of my previous videos, you may have seen me make some of these DIY gramophone sound boxes, and these are for 78s or vinyl, and I've used them to do various experiments with homemade gramophones. Now I thought it would be a good idea to build one that would actually fit onto a real gramophone, so that's what I'm doing over here. The main component is the base of a Pringles tube. Now in some cases I've used lids, in other cases I've used a section of the base. This is quite a thin section of the base, but that's because I want it to be a similar thickness to a real sound box. And the sound bar, instead of using a bit of coffee stirrer, I'm using something that's based around these electrical components here, or electrical connectors I should say. So these are sort of crimp connectors, and I've sort of bolted a few of them together there, and I'm also using the little brass inserts that come out of this sort of chocolate block electrical connections, and to join it all together I'm using little bits of nails. So sort of cutting the ends off, or cutting the heads off, and sort of filing them down to make them fit. There's a bit there that I've done, and that's just using a little junior hacksaw. And I've also got some other odd bits of metal, like this here, which I think was part of an old video rack. So it's quite thick, but it's actually quite soft as well, so it should be easy to bend. But anyway, the basic idea is that that's going to bolt in the middle there, and it's going to basically have the needle in here, and then there are going to be sort of pins or rods in here to support it, so it can rock back and forth very slightly, and then it'll all be secured underneath. So it'll be the same basic configuration as a proper sound box. This build has gone on for several days, and as I didn't have a definite plan, I've had to experiment and in some cases remake components several times. Just want to talk very briefly about what's going on the back of the sound box. As in my previous creations, I'm going to use a CD, or a bit of a CD anyway. I've got to mark it out and cut it down to size, and then I'll probably glue or maybe tape it on. And I'm going to put a little bit of piping there as well. Now this is 21.5mm waste piping, which is easily available in the UK, and the inside diameter is about 19mm or so, and the external diameter of the gramophone tone arm I intend to fit it to is about 18mm. So I've slit it and inserted a little strip of copper, which I can then adjust, either squeeze it down or bend it up with a little screwdriver to get the fit right. So that will get stuck on the back there, and that's basically what the back's going to look like. I'll probably, or maybe also drill a little hole in the top so I can put it in a little screw, which will allow me to guide it into the slot that's also on the tone arm. I watched a fair few videos on YouTube on how to cut CDs and DVDs without them cracking. Most of them involved heating them up in a bowl of hot water. Now I used a heat gun. I wouldn't recommend it, but it did work for me. Okay, so I'm making some real progress now. You can see the sound bar is together. I've not attached it yet to the Pringle tube, and I'm sure there's a lot of tweaking and adjustment to do. These bits at the side here, these brackets, I've had to make out of that video cabinet bracket, which is this quite thick but quite soft metal. I did try using sort of thin nails like these ones, but they just didn't want to bend properly. So here I've just got it sort of mocked up on the end of the Pringle box. You can see that the top of the bar is going to end up in the middle of the box, and there'll be a screw to attach that. And here I'm just checking that the needle is going to clear the edge of this. So basically, when it's in use, the needle needs to be at an angle like so, and this obviously can't hit into the record. Just a detail of how I'm attaching the mechanism to the Pringle tube. Basically it's with an M3 machine screw or bolt, and I've drilled a 3mm hole and inserted it from the inside, and you might just be able to see I put a locking nut actually to hold it onto the tube, and then it threads through part of this chocolate block connector and goes on to another nut with a spring washer. I didn't have another locking nut, I need to order some more. But I've done it like that because once the back is on I won't be able to access the screw head, so I need to make sure that it doesn't turn and I don't need to insert a screwdriver into it. I've gone for an M3 screw in the middle of the diaphragm. Now I've screwed it in tight with a nut and a star or spring washer on both sides. It's not designed to be removable, but if I need to I can do through the pipe that goes to the tone arm. Okay, well it's bolted together for the first time. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fiddling and fettling to do before I'm happy with it, but essentially that's how it looks. This arm here is probably going to need to be super glued, because basically even though that's a crimp connector there, in fact both of them are crimp connectors, they won't crimp onto a solid metal shaft, which is a bit of a nail. So I'm going to just have to super glue these in position, and I'm also really not sure that I've got the position of the pivot right. And the other thing which I'm wondering is whether to remove these two plastic bits here, because they're not necessary and they will get in the way a bit of the movement of the needle. So but the way I've built it, I can leave it like it is for the minute and then take them off later if I so choose. I'm going to do a comparison test with it against the HMV number 5B that I've got here. This isn't the one the gramophone came with, but it's the one that I most often use on it. The tone arm pressure of the DIY soundbox is about 74 grams, or somewhere around 3 ounces, maybe 2 3/4 ounces to 3 ounces. The actual weight of the soundbox is 1 3/4 ounces, or about 48 grams. Now the tone arm pressure of the HMV soundbox, this is the HMV 5B, is around 148 to 150 grams, which is about 5.5, maybe 5 3/4 ounces. The weight is about 5 ounces, which is about 144 grams. So the HMV soundbox is considerably heavier, and also obviously applies more pressure to the record as it turns. Well, it does work, but clearly the HMV soundbox beats it both in terms of volume and sound quality. However, it does go to show you can build a working soundbox that works on a real gramophone out of, well, not very much at all. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it. And if you'd like to see more like it, please subscribe also, as I've got lots more improvements and ideas to come. Thanks for watching.